Okay, hello. Welcome
Hello.
to the first official interview, formal in-person interview for Soul Mechanics. This will be regarding the recent response video. Allow me to go ahead and introduce myself as former director of the Status Initiative and current host of Soul Mechanics, Donovan Neal, Renegade Operative, and my guest host and interviewee, associate foundation member, and professional devil worshiper, Meagan Leigh Ramsey. So, speaking to the woman, this woman posted a video saying that lucid dreaming is evil, that it's the devil's work, and that alchemy, and they all think, essentially, ultimately, as it seems, they all think that alchemy, in and of itself, even practicing laws of attraction and anything that even remotely resembles magics of any sort, is demon worship and demon practice and opens you up to demon possession.
It's almost as if we live in 1742 or something. It's absolutely ludicrous, and these things get blanketed under the veil of, this creepy, hoo-ha, voodoo, weird stuff, but it's not.
Well, speak louder. Nothing here. But tell me what you think about that, about in particular alchemy, because you're our resident alchemist, our resident alchemy fanatic at the very least, and foundation member and founder of the Status Initiative. So you're obviously held in high standing in this regard. So what are your thoughts on alchemy in general and our practices in that regard? Our personal practices.
I would say that it's a valuable thing to train in. Hey! You have to pause it now. What's up, dude?
You're a guest.
What's up?
You're
You
a
have
guest
a
host.
picnic basket?
I have a picnic
Pausing.
basket.
Okay. We also have our a friend of
Well,
ours.
I mean, living opens you to demonic possession, so.
Right, but this woman's suggesting that lucid dreaming is the devil's. She suggests that practicing lucid dreaming, learning how to do it, is the devil's work. It's working with demons, ultimately, innately. And she's also suggesting that she suggests that yoga, Tibetan Buddhism, and such are cheap knockoffs of Christianity. Is what she's saying.
Even though they've been around longer than Christianity.
Yeah,
Even though
those things are
Christianity is a
older
direct
than
rip-off of it.
Christianity. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Christianity is just
that
a
makes
fucking
sense.
mashup of that shit. But her innately saying that anything practiced along those lines, magics, alchemy, fucking, it's all. I suppose it would be blanketed as witchcraft from the perspective of someone of this regard. But ultimately, that whatever it is, it's opening you up to demon infestation, and it's absolutely not to be done. It's not recommended. Any of it.
I think that pops up.
Okay.
It's like an old-fashioned
That's
kind
what
of
she
thing.
wants
I
to
mean,
believe.
like an older
I know.
lady.
Well, if she wants to believe it, sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is it like an older person? I feel like
Yeah,
that's.
she looks like she looks like a beautiful young lady. Beautiful young lady with a beautiful voice and a beautiful channel for the most part. She would be kind of like one of the new age people. She's doing this channel that is
New age people that think that yoga causes
right. Well,
demonic
that's what
possession.
right, but that's what she looks like. And
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
Christianity is to be considered new age. It's the most modern, recent religion. It's the youngest.
Oh, but people don't look at it that way, though.
Right.
That's
Well,
not,
let's do this from a realistic
common
perspective
thing.
because that's what the channel is about, is reality. So, the realistic perspective is that if we were to consider something new age, what most people seem to consider new age is like Kundalini practice, yoga, shit like that. They think that's new age, where in fact it's the oldest shit that's ever been around.
chakras and crystals.
Right.
And
All that chakra, crystal work, anything like that. Whereas they consider Christianity to have been the be-all, end-all from the beginning of fucking time. Like the planet just existed for the past 2,000 years.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Very
Well, isn't that part of the whole? What's the thing? The Christian people. about like dinosaurs and stuff. The
Creationism.
creationism, that's what it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it's called. So I
Yes.
don't really know much about that.
That's actually
theory
something
itself,
I would have
but
to ask about. I don't understand
Yeah, I
what
don't-
their idea of creationism is either. I guess it's the idea.
No, I
that
think it's
God
exactly what
created-
you said. I think it's like they think that the planet
Yeah.
just popped out 2,000
Yeah, well, in
years
6
ago.
days. That God created it in 6 days.
But is
All those
that
dinosaur fossils were planted last week?
Yeah, the dinosaur fossils are a vast conspiracy.
Do you
All
think
over
that?
the planet.
Actually worked with someone.
Do you think that
Really?
we were that people existed with dinosaurs?
A doctorate in pharmacy and believes that dinosaurs are not real.
Wow.
Well, what then? How
Dinosaurs are not real.
then? How do you explain away the bones and the fossils and those kinds of things?
Those are planted by scientists.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
Oh wow!
Oh
Whoa!
wow.
But
I
then
mean, like archaeologists.
planted by
Wow.
them. How do we account for
Really?
the dating of it, like the carbon
The
dating?
carpet? No, it's
Isn't
not
that
real.
sorcery?
If the bones themselves are a conspiracy, then everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And
after
honestly,
that,
carbon
It's like the
dating
fucking flat
isn't
earth.
exceptionally
that is
accurate
like
anyway.
flat Earth people. That is insane.
We have that too.
I didn't
We have
realize
flat
that.
Earth people that we're engaging. Welcome to the show, Keith, Wiccan practitioner, and Booby, fellow founding member and operative. He is not a worshiper of Satan, but he's married to
Aw,
one.
Shucks. Darn. I married you anyway.
I thought you were
Shucks.
a Satan worshiper.
Oh well, I've been tricked.
Do you think that people were around with dinosaurs, Boob?
I do, yeah.
You do. Obviously, we're under the presumption here that
Well, I
dinosaurs are
can prove
real. That dinosaurs
People were around
existed.
with dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, they found like a
Crocodiles and alligators exist now.
and chickens.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean,
Chickens.
that's
And
a,
chickens.
that's a technicality.
Chickens, raw motherfucker.
Chickens, yes. That's weird to think about. But yeah, they found like the footprints, human footprints that were
With dinosaurs.
Well, but like even like underneath
Right.
like other fossils and things, and the
Yeah.
way
I've looked.
Mastodons were
I've seen
around.
that, but I didn't know.
it pops in layers. Have you guys ever
I'm
seen-
getting a second, third, and fourth opinion. We have a group interview here now.
Have you ever seen that
Sapien
wall?
has been around for a long time.
I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's that wall that has the dinosaur footprints on it. Yeah, where the heck is that? It's like
Why?
it's
Why?
well, I
Where they
think-
like place him?
Well, it's not like it's vertical now, but like it
Kind of
was.
shift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was shifting
Oh,
of the
that's
plates,
cool.
and so now it's vertical, and you can
That's
see, and it's some kind of weird rock, but you can see like the footprints of actual dinosaurs, and
That's
it's
bitchin'.
yeah, it's crazy. I've read about it a while back, but I don't remember where
I
it is.
have heard though. I've heard of the dinosaur footprints with the fucking people
Yeah,
footprints
there's been a few of those.
myself, but I didn't know about it. For sure. Trying to get a good
Yeah,
view
no,
there.
I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely don't think that it's a vast conspiracy. I think that it's ridiculous.
Yes, well, and that's the same thing with the flat Earth. What are we thinking about flat Earth? Honestly, one of the questions that was asked.
Part of me thinks it's a joke.
Yeah, one of the questions that was asked in this woman's video of one of her people was one of her viewers was, do you think the biblical flat Earth? Now, put parentheses, not just flat Earth, but the biblical flat Earth
Two different
is a
things.
psyop. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means. And that was actually a
I
question
don't
asked.
understand what that means either. That's insane.
Like, what do they think a psyop is? What do we think a psyop?
No, I've heard that term with like the conspiracy people, the Alex Jones people, and that kind of thing. Psyop. It's like, you know, the secret operations. It's like secret operatives. And
But
they're
like-
planting things
Like
and-
programming people? Is that what we're thinking it is? Like mind
no,
control?
just like tricking people.
We have another guest star.
Well, hello.
Little Veda doing her very first interview. She will someday be running the entirety of this thing.
Say, oh hi.
What do you think about dinosaurs with people? Living with people? And also, what do you think about magics being considered devil worship?
Well said.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's the be-all, end-all on
How can
fucking...
you argue with that?
That's the be-all, end-all on magics being considered devil worship.
That's our favorite word right now, Daddy Da. Good mama.
Okay, so I guess ultimately what we'd have to get down to in this interview is that we're all of the general agreement that for the most part, time mechanics, as it were, covering the entirety of alchemy, and synchronicity, and just magic in general, is not devil practice or devil worship. Is not evil.
No.
Now you are not involved personally with any demons, and you haven't.
I'm aware of.
You haven't set up any contracts with
I had
Satan.
talked with Crowley, and
Right, there
he's
could
straight up
be
told
a
me that
psyop.
Booby's a demon.
There could
But-
be a psyop that's, I've got friends that are demons and they're just secretly waiting.
Very seriously, though, for the practices that you do in personal alchemy and for the practices that you do utilizing time mechanics as a practical measure, a theoretical practical measure we're putting into play, you have not signed any contracts with demons or been infested in any way that you are aware of.
Well, I mean, if it's not signed in blood, that doesn't count.
Right. But so you signed some in pen.
No, absolutely not.
'Cause
No,
I think that's got to be the
people-
general consignment, is that, we make use of what we use time mechanics as a blanket term for all of this. We use that every day. And in fact, you do too. You just don't know that you're doing it most of the time. But I'm fairly certain that we haven't signed any contracts with demons or been involved with any evil, devil, things that could be considered a devil or anything of that sort.
Not deliberately, at least. I guess I'll
Yes.
say that. But
Do we think that demons actually exist as a real thing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say there's.
Because
There's-
I'm on
No, yes, I've seen them.
According to the
Right.
lore.
It's not something that I've experienced, so I can't speak to it personally. But
Right, yeah, I never experienced anything like that either. But there is lore, we'll call it.
I banished imps, low-level demons.
see, well, then tell me from a perspective of someone who's dealt with actual demons in your practices, what are they? Do you think that demons are fucking fallen angels, as the Bible says, or anything of that nature?
Is that what the Bible says? Or fallen angels?
Yeah, this says that they're the rebel angels that left with Lucifer during the fall.
That's one book.
Yeah.
Demons have been around longer than that. And demons are a whole sub-race.
So, what are they?
But
If we
living
have
in
a,
the
are they? Are we just? Can we just describe them as being demons? As being like, are they innately evil entities? If you want to use the term evil.
Most of them are malaligned. I wouldn't say evil.
So
Evil
That-
infers that
They're
are
inclined
all
to do-
nefarious,
Yeah,
and
they're inclined to be
They're-
malicious.
demons are self-centered, so they do things that help them.
benefit.
Would you
And only
consider
benefit them.
thereby? Would you consider that perhaps demons that a terrible person, for example, might
That is-
become a demon or could become a demon? Consider that a potentiality?
No, because
That's
you're
across
still
the
talking
streets.
about-
A human being.
yeah,
Okay.
That's across the street.
that'd be like me going, you know what? Screw it. I just want to be a rabbit.
Right. Well, that's exactly, and people are doing that nowadays, though.
Well,
So,
you can
yeah,
identify all day
no,
long.
People are
as
deciding that-
whatever you want.
With
but
the
I'll
advent
call
of the
you
transgender
Bunny if
culture,
you-
we're now allowed to call
Bunny.
ourselves animals as
I
well.
want to be
In
known as
Canada,
Mr. Fluffy Ears.
It's actually a law. It's been placed on legal things. The terminologies.
Can you snuff that?
Different,
Gracias.
different adjectives and things like that. If you don't call someone.
Yes, and you have to refer to them as whatever
Yeah,
animal they're
the
identifying
Canadians
with.
have put that
And-
down in ink.
So
as
here's a
a
good
thing.
question thereby. Do you think that these contractual arrangements we make in this life is pending throughout? Like, if we die and our soul transforms, are we going to be what we decided to be here? If we're sentenced to two life terms in prison, are we going to serve another life term when we die? Is that sort of thing? Like, just hypothetically
That's
speaking.
human bullshit.
Do you think
We
that our
write down-
contracts
we
are
just
binding?
write down shit. That doesn't
Right.
make it real.
But of course, in the Bible, and again, we're speaking back to the biblical theology
Yeah,
here.
but a lot of
The
that is
Bible says that the words, all the words that are written down are binding forever.
Really?
Yeah, it says all the written laws are binding forever.
I feel like that's a little.
But then when you turn around, you have these same Bible humping people going, I don't recognize your law because it's not the law of God.
Right.
So how can the laws of man be binding forever by the Bible when you can choose not to
Right.
recognize.
But at
it.
the same time,
So
we
laws
do.
of man are just that, laws
Just
of man
that.
for
Yeah.
this lifetime.
But at the same
Once you
time,
live this
we
life,
do
you're
know
beyond
that we can impress binding laws and contracts, that we have the power to decide things that are lasting. So do you think somebody might make the mistake of signing themselves into a binding contract that lasts for, say, eternity?
I'm sure someone's been tricked into doing that, but you are going into a level of power that's beyond human.
Right. And they can choose to get out of it. Well, it's technically, from what we know, free will is free will. I mean, there's nothing beyond human capability, but we can choose to get out of it. Even if we choose to be eternally bound to something, later on we can choose to renege.
Yeah, choices.
That ought to be the case.
That, I think, trumps everything. The
But,
choice.
I mean, from what we can tell, decision is operative. You know, you can decide things ultimately. There's nothing nothing goes outside of the power that we have available, potentially speaking. I mean,
I agree, and I think people make. Yeah, I think people make decisions that sometimes they're not even aware of.
well, that's what we're getting to with principal dynamics, which is going to cover that specific aspect, is how people decide and how people make implications that decide what's going to happen.
Always
Yeah.
with the feelings.
Well, the feeling's going to be the charge behind it.
But those change. Those are
Right.
always changing. Those are constantly changing.
Like I know that I can impress something upon a scenario. I can, for example, I can tell an object to do something, like just random stupid shit. Like I can tell something to shut off or something. And if I put enough, if I amp up that impulse and I put emotion into it, the thought connects and it makes it acts. If I can pump, if I can put up enough emotion into it, it'll work. And that's essentially how magic is actually going to work, which is happening to you every fucking passing second of the day. So, I mean, come on, dude. Everybody's fucking signed up with demons here. Is that what we're
I
saying?
think the term synchronicity is a
Right. Well, I mean, principal dynamics is the course that's covering it and referring to it under the blanket term time mechanics covering, which I think we can just drop time mechanics eventually, but time mechanics was meant to cover alchemy, synchronicity, anything having to do with the operative influence of your decision. And utilizing the programming of the brain, like what Boob and I first came up with was the programming of senses to activate chemical triggers, to replace chemicals, so that you don't have to use drugs. You can program a trigger in the brain via sensation that will activate the same physiological response.
Yeah, you can reprogram. Like, I think Terrence McKenna said it, how he made the what am I thinking of? Metaphor that your brain is like an operating system of a computer.
Yeah.
And you can, change it by doing things with or without different substances. But DMT is a really good example of something that people use to have experiences, but you make it inside your brain, so it's there.
See, but not me personally, aside from the initiative and aside from you guys, I am personally determining for the principal dynamics course that I'm just stating flat out that the brain is an operating system, not a metaphor, an analogy, that our bodies are in fact mechanisms that can be controlled operatively, that we are the operative influence. The real you is driving the car. You are not the car. And we have to make that distinguishment between you and your body, that you are not your body. It's something you have. You have a body.
Yeah, no, for sure. But that's the thing that you need to constantly be forgetting and remembering. And
Exactly.
Forgetting and remembering.
And so that's why I tell my students, I'll remind my students now to treat your body as though it were a pet. That you have to discipline. You have to discipline. You have to care for it, love it. Exactly. All of that. All training. Any training.
Every time I poop on the floor, I always punish myself.
All right.
I rub my nose in it.
Now
and then do it again.
I take that to a bit of an extreme because I fuck up a lot. My memory's damaged, and when I fuck up, when I lose things repeatedly, I get pissed at myself and I discipline myself. So that's something that I do personally. Yeah, and it's not working. I still forget.
But that's part of the game, man.
Yep. That's precisely just what you said there. Say it again.
That's part of the game.
Yes, we are identifying life as a game that can be played. The operative vehicle, you are the operative influence utilizing the vehicle of your body to play this game, which operates under the mechanism of time mechanics, is the principal dynamic. That's why it's called principal dynamics. You know, what's actually causing for the world to behave the way it does. We can figure that out, we can reprogram it, we can operatively utilize it. And we, in fact, everybody that's standing here now does in fact do that regularly. Act as aware of what they're doing, what influences they are having upon the world.
100% aware all the time.
No.
Which is why you don't see the grasshopper at your feet. Oh, would have been really cool if there was a grasshopper there.
But
Kung Fu reference.
But no, we can do that, and we have done that. And I guess that's going to have to be the clip for our interview. That's the point of it, is that we're all good people here for the most part. I mean, I'm kind of a dickhead. You know that very well. But, I mean, I'm not a bad person. I certainly don't deal with demons. But I do make use of what you'd call casting or magics all the fucking time. We work with casters. Keith is a professional caster, you could say. So none of us, although Keith tells stories of having interacted with demons before, for the most part, none of us are in any contractual binding agreement with anything that could be considered innately evil. In any case, that's going to have to conclude the interview for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon enough. Kila Salai. Terve Uni Siari. Fucking forward together. Namaste.